thriving stock exchange. Wondering why so many buildings in the city is another story. It has nothing to do with Rotterdam.
Back to the 17th century.
From the Far East, and for a time, the Dutch West Indian Trading Company.
Your captain is here to assist you. Now, sit back, relax, and enjoy the cruise.
Welcome to Amsterdam, capital city of the Netherlands. What better way to experience this compact and very international city than from the unique perspective of its life? There certainly are a lot of them. This city has over 100 kilometers of canal. Amsterdam is known for being friendly, open-minded, and progressive.
Adds a sparkle that's never far below the surface. During the 17th century, Amsterdam shone especially bright, like gold. This golden age was an extraordinary time. Politics, art, and business all reached new levels of sophistication. Dutch shipbuilders revolutionized sailing. Amsterdam boasted a thriving stock exchange, and painters like Rembrandt and Vermeer produced remarkable art.
Let's take a step back in time, a big step to the 12th century. To our left, there was nothing but vast stretches of marshland, lakes, and sea. To our right, at the mouth of the Ems, settlers built a dam across the river. Hence the name Amsterdam, or the dam built across the Amstel.
Now, fast forward a few hundred years. Amsterdam has grown into a fortified medieval village, complete with dikes, ditches, and canals to control the sea level. Even this far back in time, it was an important trading hub. Ships sailed back and forth across the Baltic Sea carrying grain, cloth, wood, and salt. The original wall of Amsterdam would have been to our right.
Was here during medieval times. Over the centuries, much of the land around us was wrestled from the sea. To reclaim this polder, or land that was once covered by lakes and seas, industrious Amsterdammers built dikes and used windmills and pumps to get rid of unwanted water. And they've done an amazing and ingenious job of it. When it comes to controlling sea levels, the Netherlands takes the lead worldwide.
There are no straight lines to Amsterdam's city center, but instead concentric canals lined and crisscrossed by streets some centuries old. Amsterdam has almost 100 kilometers or 60 miles of canals, even more than Venice.
The city grew up around Dam Square, where the Amstel River was
Sea. Ramparts were raised and canals were dug as part of an ever-evolving cityscape.
The building with flags atop it is the former Scheepvaarthuis, or shipping house. A group of shipping companies ran their businesses from here. This early 20th century building is considered to be the first true example of the Amsterdam school style of architecture. The front of the building is impressively adorned with statues of Neptune, his wife, and 4 figures that represent the points of the compass. The building is decorated inside and out with all kinds of nautical symbols, anchors, ships, and famous Dutch mariners. It's now a 5-star luxury hotel.
donker kan je hier en daar bij een woonboot naar binnen kijken. Later horen we een verhaaltje over die woonboten. Het volgende verhaaltje wat automatisch speelt, begint straks aan de andere kant van the start, on the other side of the next bridge. Die Erklärung spielt nicht die ganze Zeit. Geschichte wird hier an die andere Seite, die Brücke anfangen. Und über die Hausboote hören wir später noch was. Wenn es draußen dunkel ist, dann kann man in manche auch reinschauen.
It's so very
We're now traveling along what was once the outer defense wall of the city. The original city boundary was to the right, to the left, salt marsh and the North Sea. The red brick tower coming up ahead of us is the medieval Montalbaantoren. An ideal lookout for sighting potential invaders, it was built to protect the city's shipyards, wharves, and warehouses from attack. From here, Dutch soldiers armed with longbows, crossbows, and early firearms called arquebuses kept watch over the wide expanses below.
The tower's white spire and clocks were added a century later. They were designed by Hendrik de Keyser, an architect whose work can be seen around Amsterdam, and who you're certain to hear more about on this cruise. The clocks couldn't keep time, and the tower's bells rang out randomly, so locals gave it the nickname Silly Jack.
Not long after the spire and clocks were added, the tower began to list to one side. With some effort, it was pulled to right. You might be wondering why so many buildings in the city tip to one side or the other. The ground in Amsterdam, a mix of peat, sand, and soil, is very soft. Because of this, buildings were generally designed to be as light as possible. None were very tall, and they often had lots of windows. For stability, they were built on a bed of wooden piles driven as deep as 15 meters, that's 45 feet, into the ground. But if these piles were exposed to the air, they began to rot, and the buildings they supported sank and shifted. Today, water levels in and around the city are carefully controlled to minimize rot. When new piles are needed, they're made of concrete. Still, you'll see many a house with a sideways tilt.
The Montalbaantoren was a place where sailors gathered before setting out to sea. The journeys were long and difficult, and not everyone returned. Legend has it that the women who loved them also came here to say goodbye, perhaps forever.
We are now on the Oude or Outer Trench Canal. During the 16th century, it served as a defense canal. All the city's canals served one or more of these functions: as a transportation route, a line of defense, or a way to manage water levels. The Oude, because of its size and location, did all of these. Because it was one of the only canals wide enough for large ships to sail, and because of We're about to pass through one of the city's old locks. The small, tippy black building was once the lockmaster's house. It's now a pub and cafe full of 17th century charm. Stone floors, wooden benches, and exposed ceiling beams. Its outdoor patio is a great place for watching boats on the canal.
We're now approaching the Waterways. It's located adjacent to the City Halls, a large red brick building. The original Waterways was an island built in the 17th century to create a space for Jewish settlers. At the time, it was called Fluyenberg, for flooding island. Over time, the name morphed into Flooyenburg, for flea island, and the bustling market held here was called the flea market.
For centuries, Jewish traders sold their wares here. The market continues to operate and is now known as the largest flea market in the Netherlands. The more the piles rock, the wilder the houses dance. The outward lean that you see on so many buildings is another story. It has nothing to do with rotted piles. The facades, or the faces of buildings, were intentionally built this way. In fact, a 16th century law put limits on how far a building could lean forward, lest it topple down.
Ja, je kan mooi doorkijken in wat we allemaal slechts kort zien. Dat er niet zo breed is. Also nice to the left, the southern church. We can also all see it very briefly. The canal is not very wide. The view is nice on the southern church. Die Süderkirche links, wir sehen das alle nur kurz, weil die gerade nicht allzu breit ist.
This piece of architecture was met with heavy protests that have since simmered down. In fact, that's how it got its name, Opera. It's derived from the movement against the construction, Stop the Opera.
Amsterdam's 1,500 or so bridges, this is the most famous. It dates back to the 17th century and was likely a narrow footbridge. Since then, it's been reconstructed.
7 bridges at once can only be seen from here on the color of the heron rock. Our kind captain is slowing down to give everyone a chance to catch a photo of this unique sight.
Ik heb ook via de radio even opzij gezet. I said to the side a little bit about in this canal over the radio. So waarschijnlijk is die een beetje naar rechts gevaren. Ik weet niet.
Back in the 17th century, when Brouwersgracht was at the edge of the city, ships sailing for the Dutch East Indian Trading Company would come here to upload silks and spices from the Far East. And for a time, the Dutch West Indian Trading Company had an office along this canal. This powerful company traded in sugar, tobacco, tropical wood, furs, and ivory, and had a monopoly on trade with the West Indies. Its ships
Voy a darse. Nee.
Central Station, the transportation hub of Amsterdam, is built on 3 artificial islands and is supported by around 8,600 wooden piles. The building was designed by 2 architects, Kuipers and Van Hens, and its front is really quite amazing. Made of red brick and white accents, it's a combination of Neo-Renaissance style and Neo-Gothic towers, and is called eclectical architecture.
Coming full circle, we're now approaching Damrock, the original mouth of the Amsterdam.